What's up, family? I got a request to talk about some optimal settings if you're trying to be good at Insurgency. It's a pretty tough game. We play PvP, PvE, and both modes can be a little bit challenging, so it's important, have your shit set up. We got a request from Zifar9083. Shout out to Zifar. But yeah, we're talking about some basic stuff and then some more advanced stuff, controller layout stuff. So let's get tuned in. Alright, so let's get into some settings. We're going to do controls first. I think a lot of the game stuff is pretty self-explanatory. For your look sensitivity, I think this game's a little bit clunky, so I like to have my sensitivity higher when I play Siege. I'm not somebody who's has their sensitivity way up high, so I'm not like that with the thumbs by any means, but for this game I like to have it higher. But now for the scope sensitivity, I like to have it low so I can slow down and be more precise when I'm shooting at people. But you want to keep in mind there's something else I'm going to talk about in a little bit that's going to kind of change how you might set up your scope sensitivity. So if you notice in the footage, when I'm not aimed down my sight, I'm moving around really fast, but when I'm aimed down sight, I'm moving a little slower. And that's because I had scale sensitivity with FOV on. So now when I turn it off, when I aim down the sight, I'm moving just as fast as I'm moving when I'm not aimed down sight. So it's scaling based off of how zoomed in you are. My suggestion is you probably want to keep it on, especially if you're a beginner. But this is what I was saying before about if you're adjusting your sensitivity, you want to make sure you take this into account, because if you turn it on or off, you're going to need to change that one, the aim down sight sensitivity based off what you select. So next is FOV scaling. So your FOV is how much of the game world you can see at once. When you have it down low, it's going to be really zoomed in, and when you have it up very high, it's going to be zoomed out. So when you have the FOV scaling turned on, your scope will follow the magnification level of the optic. So if you have a 4x scope on, it really zooms in like it's supposed to in real life. But then when you have it disabled, the scope magnification will be adjusted, scaled relative to your base FOV. So if you're running a high FOV, the scope will feel less zoomed in, and you'll have your more peripheral view. So turning it on is more realism and immersion, but then turning it off will have a more consistent view. So if you don't really care about being immersed, then you could throw it off. The last visual setting will be motion blur. Motion blur can reduce performance a little bit, but if you're playing on PS5, you shouldn't really see that. If you keep it off, it'll make the game feel a little smoother, but it might make people harder to see. I never really had that problem. But if you turn it off, it'll give you a sharper, cleaner image. A lot of competitive players turn it off. But for me personally, it kind of makes me feel sick when I don't turn it off, so I like to keep it on. Alright, so besides the basic sensitivity scale, you also have your aim sensitivity curve, and a lot of people get confused about this, so let's talk about it. So the aim sensitivity curves, imagine you're holding a crayon, right, and you want to draw a line. How fast you move your hand affects how the line turns out, and that's basically what these sensitivity curves do. They change how fast your aim moves based on how much you're pushing the stick. So linear is the normal one. It's pretty simple. If you push the stick a little, your aim moves a little. Push it all the way and it moves fast. It's smooth and even, basically. Exponential, it's a slow start, fast end, right? So this one starts slow, and then as you speed up, it speeds up as you push the stick more. If you basically if you barely touch the stick, your aim barely moves, but if you jam it to the side, it's speedy. It's good if you're trying to be precise when you're aiming, but you still want to be able to snap if you hear something behind you. Cool. So the next one would be dual zone. Dual zone's like having two different speeds. So you want to move the stick a little, it's slow and steady, helps you aim, but when you push it past a certain point, it jumps to a faster speed. So it's like slow, 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 boom, fast. Some people like it for quick turning without losing fine aim control. Dynamic's the last one, the smart helper. Dynamic adjust on the fly. If you aim slow, it's gentle, and if you move quick, it speeds up. It adapts on how you play. Really good for newer players, or if you want a little of everything. My advice is you try to do dynamic or linear first, and then if you want to try the other ones, you can try them out. But those are, try to get used to dynamic and linear, and make sure you have your sensitivity nailed down before you try the exponential and dual zone. To wrap it up is the audio stuff. Pretty straightforward. Your configuration, if you got headphones in, obviously you want to put it on headphones. If you're a gamer, put the music all the way down so you're fully immersed. I got my master volume and effects volume down a little bit because usually when I'm recording content, I'm using my game mic. So it kind of gets muffled by the sound of the game. So until I get a better mic, I keep it down low a little bit so you guys can hear me talk. But if I didn't, I would have it all the way up. But that's all I got, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and peace.